Hi, my name is Jay Carey, and with me today is Francisco Perez. We're both members of the ArcGIS Data Reviewer team here in Redlands, California. In today's presentation, we'll be covering the new data quality control capabilities that are included in Data Reviewer extension for ArcGIS Pro and Enterprise. Data Reviewer enables customers to automate and simplify data quality control to lower costs and create high-quality data. Automated review is a commonly used form of data quality control that enables the assessment of different aspects of a feature's quality. Very little human interaction is required, so this is the fastest and least expensive form of quality control. Traditionally, this form of review is used to assess the quality of features that already exist in a database. For example, this can be useful when determining a dataset's fitness for use in a project. Automated review can also be used to assess the quality when creating or modifying features. This can be especially useful in data production environments to prevent the creation of features that don't meet quality requirements. Since the Pro 2.5 and Enterprise 10.8 releases, reviewers' automated checks have been an integrated component in attribute rule-based constraint and validation workflows. Data Reviewer can help in implementing attribute rules in the following ways. First, Reviewer provides a library of predefined validation methods that identify common data quality problems encountered by customers. These checks assess different aspects of a feature's quality that can include its integrity, properties such as its attribution, as well as a feature's spatial relationship with other features. They're easy to implement since they are configurable and don't require the creation of custom arcade scripts. And finally, they're supported in both constraint workflows that enhance quality assurance in data production, as well as validation workflows that assess the quality of features that already exist in your database. Reviewer rules are configured data reviewer checks stored in your geodatabase that assess the quality of features and rows. New in 2.7 is the ability to configure and execute validation rules in a file geodatabase. New checks in the latest release enable you to assess a feature's attribution in different ways. These include the domain and subtype checks, which identify inconsistencies in a feature's attribution based on an associated domain or subtype classification. The table-to-table attribute check is used to compare attribute values in a feature against attribute values stored in another feature class or a standalone table. Additionally, checks are now available that enable you to reduce data redundancy that can lead to improved performance of your database. These include the unnecessary nodes and unnecessary polygon boundaries check, which identify features that contain identical attribute values and share a common pseudonode or boundary, respectively. Often, features identified with these checks can be merged to reduce database size and improve performance. The duplicate features check is used to identify features that contain matching geometries and attribute values. This check can be used to detect duplication in the same or different data source. In our first demonstration, Francisco will be assuming the role of a technical lead who is responsible for implementing data quality requirements using reviewers' automated checks. He will be implementing a series of quality requirements that support place-finding operations, such as geocoding and routing. These include road features and address points, such as homes, buildings, and other places. A subset of these requirements are highlighted in the above table, along with the implementing data reviewer check and participating feature classes. Francisco?
Thank you, Jay. In this demonstration, I'm going to be taking the role of a QA/QC tech analyst, where I want to be able to complement some of the pre-existing automated validation capabilities I have set for my editors with brand new reviewer rules available in ArcGIS Pro. Now, as for the data that you see on my screen in ArcGIS Pro, we have a set of local street data along with site address points from my local government geodatabase. And what I want to be able to do is to add more automated quality checks to my local streets feature class. Now, The first thing that I need to do is to bring the context menu for my attribute rules pane. For that, I can right click, hit design, attribute rules, which shows me that I have pre-existing work from calculation rules to validation rules. Before I elaborate more on the context of some of the rules that I have already created, it is worth mentioning that this data is coming from a file geodatabase, meaning that reviewer attribute rules are no longer exclusive to branch versioning feature data. With ArcGIS Pro 2.7, you can use reviewer attribute rules in a file geodatabase. Now, as for my validation pre-existing work, I have already configured a set of query attribute rules that are meant to find null values. But among them, there's the unnecessary nodes check. The unnecessary nodes check is meant to identify road features that share a node and match in attributes. If we find this condition, I would like to my editors to merge these two roads into just one segment. Now, I want to be able to complement these query attribute rules and the unnecessary nodes rules with two more checks that are available in 2.7, starting with the invalid domains rule, which is meant to find attributes that do not comply with domain restrictions. I also want to be able to configure a table-to-table rule that is meant to ensure that there is a relationship between the local street road name field in the local street feature to the master road table in my local government data model. Now, let's just make an authoring of the two rules that we just spoke about. I can click on Ready to Use Rules and enable our domain rule for validation. So I want to be able to first and foremost add a name to this rule, and I can name it road contains invalid attribute values, and some context to the description that emphasizes on the fact that any feature containing values that do not comply with coded values or range domains will be considered an issue. I'm not going to ignore any particular attribute. I'm not going to search for any null values, but these configurations should suffice for what I'm trying to look for, which is invalid domain values. The next thing that I'm going to do is to add a table-to-table rule, which I believe was requirement number 2 in our previous slide. So if I search for table-to-table in my validation section, a table-to-table title that makes more sense, that being road name missing from master street list, and then a description that should go along with, the check-in will fail if the full road name is not found in the master street index. So if it's null or if it's not there in my feature, that table-to-table relationship should not happen. Now, as for the configuration, I want to be able to start by creating a filter that will be based on route class, ensuring that is a local road. Then I will be choosing the master road name to make that relationship between a specific field, and that specific field will be full road name. The last thing that I need to do is to make sure that there's an invert relationship, because I don't want to be able to find that condition. I want to be able to find the scenario where these two fields do not match. I can just hit save. And with the successful authorization of these brand new rules, we conclude our first demonstration. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Francisco. Feature validation is controlled by the user and supports the evaluation of all features in the database or only those within a given map extent. In services-based editing workflows, a data editor can validate changed features after editing or asynchronously when validating a large number of new or modified features. In our final demonstration, Francisco will be assuming the role of a data editor, who is responsible for creating and maintaining high-quality data for their organization. Francisco?
Okay, so as for my second demonstration, I will be taking the role of an editor, and I will be using the same data to test the updates made by the QA/QC tech analyst to evaluate my map extent as an example. The next thing for me to do is to enable the error inspector from the edit pane. In here, I can hit the drop down for evaluate rules. I won't be using any batch calculation, just validating my map extent. That should trigger quite an amount of errors in my map extent. I can see right away that I have plenty of null values, okay? Values that are actually null. The searching for null values is actually a severity that I have categorized as a severity 5. I don't want to be able to see that, and I have an option to filter some of the results that I have in my error inspector by choosing different options like status, phase, geometry type. In this case, I'm going to be choosing severity. Severity 1 is for issues that are actually related to some of the rules that I have previously configured in my previous demonstration. Now, if I extend the error message field, I can tell that there are two features out there with a table-to-table related error where the road centerline full name does not match the road, the master road name. And I have unnecessary nodes for one particular road feature that actually shares a node and it has exactly same attribution. But then when I look at the feature ID, I can tell it's actually the same feature. So that explains it. If I flash that feature, I can tell it's this one that is sharing a particular node with another segment of that local street and is sharing exactly the same attribution. So in order to fix these two errors, the very first thing that I want to be able to do is to actually merge these two polylines. So for that, I'm going to turn off my error layers and I'm just going to make a selection. And I'm going to bring my attributes pane, and I can tell that there's an object ID 29 and an object ID 99. I'm going to merge these two polylines. I'm going to choose 29 to be the one to preserve. I'm going to merge it. And you can see that one error is removed from the error inspector. Now it's just one feature having these two errors, okay? And what I want to be able to do is to ensure that this feature that I just have merged matches a master road full name. It seems like the issue here is that actually the full road name is null on this line segment. So I'm just going to pick as an example any option here and I'm going to apply it. The issue was that it was basically a null field. So I have made these two fixes, and the next thing that I want to be able to do is just to reevaluate my area. So as you can see, after reevaluating my map extent, the phase and status has changed to acceptable because I have made a fix to remove that null value, associate the full road name to one of the names available in the master road name. And I have already also removed unnecessary nodes for that particular line segment. So now that we have successfully edited and revalidated my map extent, we conclude our second demonstration. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Francisco. Before we go, here are some resources that you can use to learn more about these new capabilities. You'll find information about Data Reviewer's quality control capabilities by visiting the ArcGIS Pro site. In the Pro site, you'll find documentation on how to implement automated validation of your data using configurable checks. You'll also find a series of tutorials to help you get up and running quickly. If there are any additional questions or comments, please visit the team on GeoNet in the Data Reviewer place. Thanks for watching.